Hiya, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and today I'm going to combine stencils with pattern paper and make a couple of easy cards. Now this is the graduated line stencil. This is part of the July release at A Colorful Life Designs. I'm going to start with this one, but I will use a second stencil in a little bit. Now I have this inexpensive 6x6 pad of pattern paper, which isn't my favorite design, but I'm going to use a couple of pages from this, and I'm going to kind of spruce it up a little bit with my stencils and kind of change the look. So here are a couple photos to show you the direction that we're going. I did also combine some other elements here, which you'll see, so stick around to see how I created this look. But overall, it was nice to use some stuff in my crafty stash and nice to use up some of this pattern paper. So I picked this piece and I'm going to line my stencil right on top of it. I do have pixie spray on here because these long slats will shift around on you. So this is exactly the sort of stencil with these long openings that you would want to use a temporary adhesive like pixie spray. So I'm going to use this color Dress Blues from Catherine Pooler, and I have my blending brush from the Rabbit Hole Designs, and I'm just going to do some very rich, simple ink blending right over this graduated lines stencil. Now, there are tons of geometric stencils in this release, so great for masculine cards. They can be used for anyone, really. So geometric is some of my favorite sort of style in terms of stencils, just because you can use them in so many different ways, and they're so versatile in your card making. So in this case, I'm just kind of covering up a design of this pattern paper and kind of changing the look. But overall, it's very simple, and it's a way to kind of use up some stuff that I have in my stash. So after I'm done ink blending this, I will push back the magnets that are holding the whole shebang down and carefully peel this away from the pattern paper to reveal this new design. So you can see the pattern paper design kind of peeking through. Now this is the Doodle Loop stencil, again another new one from the release. And if you do shop the stencils, be sure to use my coupon AMYFAN10 and you'll save 10% on your complete order. Or if you wanted the entire release, including the new stamp, you could get that at an even bigger discount with the Master Creator Bundle. And I will link all of that in the video description box below. If you expand and scroll down, you'll find all those details. So here I'm just using my brayer to really press this stencil, again with pixie spray on it, onto this pattern paper. And I'm going to do the same thing. I just have a different color. This is Glam. And I'm going to ink blend directly through that and make it as rich and dark as I can without kind of going too crazy and shifting my stencil around on me. So the magnets will kind of help hold everything down. But again, the pixie spray is helping hold the stencil onto the paper so I don't have to worry about that shifting around on me. And there's these cool florals in there and these little swirly lines, and it's just such a fun and unique design here. So once I get through with the ink blending, I'm going to do the same sort of thing, just pull back the stencil and reveal the design and then go from there. So I love stencils like this because I feel like you can kind of use it as a whole backdrop, or you could just use it as a little subtle element behind, like a critter on a card or something like that. In this case, I'm going to use this nice and imposing Happy Birthday die from Lawn Fun, and I'm going to cut right into these souped up pattern paper panels that I just created. So I'm going to use some mint tape from scrapbook.com, and I'm going to run this through off screen through my die cutting machine. And I also didn't want to waste those little strips. I'm going to put those on the inside of the card to kind of continue the design. So I did not waste those. I kind of cut down little strips for the inside of the card. And I'm just going to kind of poke out all these little pieces parts and get these out of the die. I don't remember if I grabbed my pokey tool or if I just messed with it for a while, but pokey tool is a game changer when it comes to die cuts like this. But just getting all the little innards out of the way, and I have these pieces ready to go. Now I want to soup up the card even further, so I have a couple 3D embossing folders from Altenew. I have a floral and a geometric, and I'm just going to spritz some white cardstock. This is 120-pound accent opaque, and I'm spritzing it with water. That is an optional step, but I often like to do it when I can because I find that it really helps the paper kind of meld to the design, and it makes it less likely to crack. So I'm just going to load both of these panels up, and I'm going to run them through off screen again through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine, and then I'll have this nice textured background. Now this one, since it's geometric, I'm just being a little bit more fiddly just to make sure it's straight, because you don't want it to be crooked when you have a sort of geo design like that, because it will show. So now I have these gorgeous panels. Look at this design on the floral. It's just awesome. I love even just embossing in white. I think it's so stunning. And then this one with the cool diamond shapes and the little thin lines. Now I'm just figuring out which one is going to go with which. I'm going to do the blue with the Geo one and the pink with the floral one. So you could have male and female, or really, these could work for anybody. And I'm going to use my tape runner here and just put these down right on a card base. It's the same cardstock as what I embossed, 120-pound accent opaque, and these are US A2 size. So the card bases are 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2, and as you can see, I did trim down those panels just slightly smaller, so there is a bit of a white border, but that's obviously an optional step. You could just leave that the full A2 size. So I'm just going to press those down on both of the card bases, and then the rest is basically just assembling the little pieces parts. So this really is a fun way to kind of use up some of the pattern paper in your stash if you have a bunch of it like I do, or also just a fun way to kind of change up that pattern paper that maybe isn't your favorite. So if you have stuff lying around that you don't really see yourself using, then maybe bust out your stencils and see what ones you can stencil on top of and change the look to see if you like it better. So here I'm just using some liquid glue, just running a little bead of that down the side on the inside of the card base. And this is just a fun and easy way to not only not waste the paper strips, but also to continue the design onto the inside of the card. So I'm just going to put the blue one here. I think I did it opposite direction. I probably should have flipped it the other way, but oh well, it's the same paper. It's not a big deal. Just make sure that's lined up and press that down. And then I'm going to use some liquid glue and put some little drops of liquid glue on the back of these die cuts and press it down. So you could use tape runner if you're careful, a Xyron maker if you have one, or you could use micro dots, which often I do, but in this case I just did liquid glue since I had so much dimension from the embossing. I wanted to make sure that it was going to stay put once I put it down. So if you're ever not sure, if you have kind of a bumpy background like this, then liquid glue and maybe a little bit like a little weight on it or a acrylic block on top of it is probably your best bet, just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere once you put it down. So same thing, I got liquid glue on this, putting that in the center towards the top of this card. Get that lined up with my little tweezers. Same thing, I have this nice huge behemoth acrylic block that I acquired, which is great for weighting down these huge sentiments like this. I absolutely love these Lawn Fawn sentiments. They make such a nice focal point on the card. But added some blingage, and that's going to finish the card. So super easy. I can add a sentiment on the inside later when I figure out who it's going to go to. But in the meantime, it's ready to go. So I don't know if you ever do gift sets for people, but having some like this and a gift set is really nice to give, maybe as a hostess gift or a stocking stuffer or something like that, because we all need birthday cards, right? So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this idea to use up pattern paper, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.